Hello everyone, welcome back to our class 12 economics series. First of all, congratulations. We have completed the introduction of money and banking. Now we are moving to one of the most interesting topic in entire chapter, functions of money. Before I teach you today's topic, I want you to do a small activity with me. Just look around you wherever you are right now. Maybe you are sitting at home, maybe you are in your study room, maybe you are watching this while traveling. Now think carefully. How many things around you were purchased using money? The phone or laptop you are watching this on, the chair you are sitting on, the table, the school bag, your books, your uniform, even the electricity being used right now. Everything involves money. Now here's my question. Is money only used to buy things? Most students immediately answer yes, but that actually is not correct. Money does much more than helping us buy and sell goods. Think about your parents. Every month they receive a salary. Some money is spent on groceries, some is used to pay school fees, some is saved in the bank, some they repay a home loan or vehicle loan, sometimes they pay electricity bills. In every one of these situations, the same money is performing different jobs. Economists call these jobs the function of money. Today's class is all about understanding these functions, and I promise you something. By the end of today's lesson, you will never have to memorize these points again. You'll understand through them through a real life example. That means whether you are preparing for CBSE board examination, CUET, or even competitive exams later, these concepts will stay with you. Towards the end of today's class, we'll also start a very important topic called supply of money. This topic becomes the foundation of commercial banks, RBI, credit creation, and monetary policy, which we will study in coming lessons. So today's class is extremely important. Keep your notebooks ready. Wherever I ask you a question, pause the video and think before answering. Learning economics is not about memorizing definitions. It's about understanding how the real economy works. So let's begin. Now let's understand what economist actually means by functions of money. The word function simply means job or work. Think about your school. Your principal has one role, teachers have another role, students have another role, librarian has different role. Similarly, money also performs different jobs in an economy. Economists divide these jobs into two broad categories. The first category is called primary function, the second category is called secondary function. Let's first understand why one is called primary. Imagine a cricket team. The batsman's primary job is to score runs. If the batsman doesn't score, the team struggles. Similarly, primary job of money is to act as medium of exchange. Without this function, money loses its basic purpose. Now let's come to the secondary functions. They are equally important because they make our economy efficient. Money helps us compare the value of different goods. It allows us to save wealth for the future. It also helps us to make future payments like loan repayment or monthly EMIs. Now don't worry if these names sound confusing. We'll understand each one separately using examples. By the end of today's class, these four functions will become so clear that you'll be able to explain them to anyone. Here's another interesting thing. Whenever economists define money, they don't say money is paper. They define money is by what it does, not by what it looks like. That's why understanding the function is much more important than memorizing definitions. So now let's begin with the most important function of all, medium of exchange. Now we come to the most important function of money. In fact, if you remember only one function perfectly, it should be this one. That function is medium of exchange. Let's understand this through a story. Imagine it's Sunday evening. Your family decides to order pizza. You open a food delivery app. You choose your favorite pizza. You click place order. Now think carefully. Did the restaurant ask you to give them 5 kgs of rice? Did they ask you for your school bag? Did they ask you for your bicycle? No. They simply asked for payment. You paid using cash, UPI, a debit card or net banking. Within a short time, the pizza arrived. What made the exchange so smooth? Money. Money acted as a bridge between you and restaurant. This is exactly what economists mean by the term medium of exchange. Money is the commonly accepted item that allows buyers and sellers to exchange goods and services easily. Now let's compare this with the barter system we studied in part 1. Imagine you wanted the same pizza during the barter system. You might have to offer wheat. The pizza shop might not want wheat. Maybe they want milk. Now you have to find someone who has milk and wants wheat. Then exchange wheat for milk. Then exchange milk for pizza. Can you imagine how much time that would take? This is why the barter system was inefficient. Money removes the entire problem. It eliminates the need for double coincidence of wants. Because everyone accepts money, trade becomes quick, simple, and convenient. Let's take another example. Suppose your parents receive their salary. They don't receive sack of rice or bag of wheat. They receive money. Why? Because money can be exchanged for anything they need: food, clothes, education, transport, healthcare, or entertainment. That's the power of money as a medium of exchange. So, in board exam, if the question is of 3 mark and it asks explain medium of exchange, don't just write the definition. Add one example, like buying groceries, paying school fees, or ordering food online. This makes your answer stronger. Now, here's a question for you. Imagine you walk into a bookstore with 500 rupees. Can you buy any book priced at 500 rupees? Yes. Why? Because the shopkeeper does not care whether you are a student, teacher, or an engineer. The shopkeeper accepts the money because money is generally accepted by everyone. And that's why that is called the primary function of money. Now let's move on to the secondary function of money, that is called measure of value. Before understanding the function, let me ask you a simple question. Suppose I ask you which is more expensive, a bicycle or a mobile phone. You can answer immediately. Why? Because both have prices. Now imagine we were back in the barter system. There is no money, there are only goods. How would you compare a bicycle with a bag of rice or a laptop with 10 chickens? Would it be easy? Not at all. This was one of the biggest problems of barter system. There was no common measuring unit. Now look at today's world. A mobile costs 20,000. Bicycle costs 8,000. A television might cost 35,000. How did we compare them so easily? Because money gives us a common unit of measurement. Think of money as a ruler. When we measure the length of table, we use a meter scale. When we measure weight, we use kgs. Similarly, when we measure the value of goods and service, we use money. Money becomes the measuring scale of the economy. Let's take another example. Imagine you enter a supermarket. There are thousands of products: rice, biscuits, soap, shampoo, milk, chocolates, fruits. Can you compare them easily? Yes, not because they are similar products, but each has a price in rupees. Without money, every product would have to compare with every other product. That would be impossible. Economists therefore say money acts as a measure of value or unit of account. So in the examination, if you see measure of value and unit of account in your textbook, remember they refer to the same function. Now think of your own experience. When your parents buy a new phone, do they compare it with other phone? Do they compare it with bag of wheat? Of course, they compare prices. That's exactly what money makes possible. Now let's discuss another important function of money, store of value. Imagine your parents receive their salary today. Do they spend the entire salary on the same day? Probably not. Some money is spent on groceries, some on electricity bills, some on school fees, but a part of income is saved. Why? Because future needs are uncertain. Maybe your family wants to buy a car next year. Maybe they are saving for your higher education. Maybe they are preparing for emergency. Money makes all of this possible because it can be stored. Now compare this with the barter system. Suppose a farmer earns 500 kgs of tomatoes. Can he store them safely for 5 years? No, the tomatoes will spoil. Suppose someone owns money. Can they save it for 10 years? Again, no. This is why goods were a poor way of storing wealth. Money solved the problem. Today, you can keep money in your wallet, in your saving account, or a fixed deposit, or even in digital form. It remains available whenever you need it. That is why economists say money as store of value. However, one small point is important. Money stores value if it remains reasonably stable. If the prices rise very rapidly due to inflation, the purchasing power of money falls. We'll study inflation in detail later, but for now, remember that stability makes money a good store of value. In the exam, always compare this function with barter system. That's the easiest way to earn full marks. Now let's learn the function with the longest name, standard of deferred payments. Don't worry about the name. Let's simplify it. The word deferred means to be paid later. Think about your family's home loan or car loan. Do they pay the entire amount on one day? Usually not. They pay monthly EMIs. Now imagine if there was no money. Suppose someone borrowed 10 bags of rice. After 1 year, should they return 10 bags? What if the quality changed? What if the price changed? What if the rice spoiled? These problems made borrowing extremely difficult in the barter system. Money solved this issue. Today, when a bank gives you a loan of 10 lakh, both the borrower and bank know exactly how much has to be paid. The payment is fixed in terms of money. That's why money is called standard of deferred payments. Let's take another example. Suppose your college fees can be paid in monthly installments. Would that be possible without money? No. Money provides certainty. It gives confidence to both lender and the borrower. Businesses, banks, and individuals all depend on this function every day. So remember this word EMI. Whenever you think of deferred payment, think of monthly loan installments. Now before we move to the next topic, let's revise everything we have learned today. Economics becomes easy when you don't memorize, you connect ideas. Whenever you think of money, remember these 4 jobs. First, money helps us buy and sell goods and services. That's the medium of exchange. Second, money helps in compare the prices of different goods. That's the measure of value. Third, money helps us save purchasing power for the future. That's the store of value. And fourth, money helps us make future payments, such as EMIs and loans. That's the standard deferred payment. Now here's a quick challenge. Imagine you're buying a laptop. When you compare prices on different websites, which function of money is used? Measure of value. When you pay online using UPI, medium of exchange. When you save money every month for that laptop, store of value. When you buy it on EMI, standard of deferred payments. See how all 4 functions appear in one real life situation. That's why understanding is much more powerful than memorizing. In the next part of the lesson, we'll begin a complete new topic, supply of money, where you learn what economists actually mean when they talk about amount of money circulating in economy. Now we have understood what money does, but here's another interesting question. Imagine the Reserve Bank of India asks how much money is available in the Indian economy today. Can we answer that by just counting currency notes? Most students immediately say yes. But the answer is no. Let's understand why. Suppose you have 2000 rupees in your wallet. Your friend has 1500 in cash. Your mother has 50,000 in her bank account. Your father has 1,20,000 in her saving account. Now tell me, is the only cash counted as money? Think about it. If your mother goes to the supermarket, she can pay directly from her bank account using UPI or a debit card. Yes, if your father transfers money through net banking, is that money useful or usable? Again, yes. That means money is not only cash. The money kept in bank account that people can use for payment is also a part of money supply. This brings us to the definition. Supply of money means the total amount of money available with the public at particular point of time. Notice 2 important phrases. First is with the public, second is at a particular point of time. We'll understand both in the next slide because students often lose marks by ignoring these words. So, in the exam, don't write money supply means total money in the country. That definition is incomplete. Always mention available with the public at a particular point of time. This is one of the most important concepts in the chapter. The definition says money available with the public. But why don't we simply say all money in India? Let's understand. Imagine there are 100 crores in currency notes. Out of this, 80 crore is with people, 20 crore is locked inside banks and RBI. Now think carefully. Can the money locked inside RBI can be used by you to buy groceries? No. Can you use the cash kept inside bank's vault to buy a pizza? Again, no. That money is not directly circulating in the money. Only the money held by the public is actively being used to buy goods and services. That's why economists include only money with public while measuring money supply. Let's take another example. Suppose a bank has 10 crore in its cash vault. You cannot walk into bank and say, I want to use your vault cash to buy a bicycle. that cash belongs to the bank or for its operations. Similarly, cash inside RBI is used for managing the banking system, not for daily transactions by public. So remember the simple rule: money supply measures the money that people can actually spend. So if the examiner asks why is cash held by bank excluded from the money supply, your answer should be because it is not available for direct spending by the public. Now we know what money supply means. Let's see what it includes. There are two components. First, currency with the public. This includes the notes and coins that people keep in their wallets, purses, homes, or cash boxes. Whenever you withdraw money from an ATM, it becomes currency with the public. Second, deposits with the bank. Many students think that money inside a bank account is not a part of money supply. That's incorrect. Suppose your salary is credited to your saving account. Can you use it for buying groceries using UPI? Of course, yes. Can you transfer it through net banking? Yes. Can you swipe your debit card? Yes. Since these deposits can be used for payments, they are included in the money supply. This is why bank deposits are considered money. Today, many people hardly carry cash. Instead, they make most payments directly from their bank accounts. That's one reason bank deposits have become an increasingly important part of money supply. Let's quickly revise everything. Today we studied 4 important functions of money. Money acts as a medium of exchange, making buying and selling easy. It acts as a measure of value, allowing us to compare the prices. It acts as a store of value, helping us to save for future needs. Then it acts as a standard of deferred payments, making loans and EMI possible. Then we begin the topic of money supply. Remember, money supply is not just cash. It includes currency with the bank and deposit that people can use for making payments. If you understand these ideas clearly, the upcoming topics like measure of money supply, M1, M2, M3, M4, and high-powered money will become much easier. Congratulations, you have now completed part 2 of the money and banking chapter. Today, we didn't just memorize definitions, we understood how money works in real life. The next time you pay using UPI, compare prices while shopping online, save money in the bank, or hear someone talking about EMI, you'll immediately recognize different functions of money. Before you leave, here's today's challenge. Suppose your salary is credited directly to your bank account. Is that part of money supply? If yes, explain why in one sentence. Write your answers in the comments. I'll read your responses, and it's a great way to check your understanding. If you find this lesson useful, in part 3 we'll cover one of the most scoring topics in the chapter, measures of money supply, M1, M2, M3, M4, and high-powered money. I'll explain them with easy memory tricks, comparison tables, and exam-oriented examples so that you never confuse them again. Thanks for watching. Keep revising, and I'll see you in the next class. Till then, bye-bye.